Marhaba. Hello to you. This is Natasha Abu-Fadel, a choreographer in research of the essence, meaning, reconciliation, and purpose within choreography. Of course, that naturally makes me curious in other choreographers' choices and process around how they reconcile, structure, and articulate our place in the world as movers. Welcome to Conversations on Choreography, a place to archive spontaneous dialogue and inquiry from the perspective and lens of a choreographer, between choreographers, about choreography. I curiously wonder about the choices, purposes, and meaning behind what's been composed and articulated. This platform is a mode of research investigating where choreography stands today and where it seems to be going. I aim to challenge and plant the seed for choreographers to depart from the bounded and limited realm of understanding stage dance and to participate and engage with it and through it with less of a grip and more with wonderment and the possibilities meant to emerge. I'm curious to observe and listen to the ways choreographers create. What do they pay attention to, or lack thereof, when involved in the dynamic perceptual process of building relational situations? What becomes intelligible through the relations between body, space, time, and environment? So the base question here is, what does it mean to explore the composition and articulation of choreography as being in the world through movement, as something more foundational than just the arrangement of mere steps for the sake of decorative aesthetics and presentational technical skills, but rather as a way of being through which we come to know the world, relate to others, and understand ourselves? How can creating on the basis of this question transform the ways choreographers and dancers engage and enact through the art of dance? Thank you, shukran, and enjoy Conversations on Choreography. For the first group of choreographers that I was interested in having these spontaneous conversations with, these were participants of the Cure 8 program in Oklahoma City. Cure 8 is an 8-week creative experience that pairs local dance makers with leading industry experts to produce new original works that premiere at Oklahoma Contemporary Arts Center. Through these mentorships, artists weave community engagement and advocacy for pressing social issues into their creative process. Choreographers collaborate with local social service organizations, crafting works informed by topics paramount to the community. By presenting works that call attention to specific social issues, the audience's experience is more than passive observation. It catalyzes active engagement and dialogue for social change. Curate's vision aims to increase networking opportunities, enhance artistic development and community engagement, and drive social impact, ultimately leading to growth in the local dance ecosystem. Curate is such a wonderful program, locally created for Oklahoma artists to be provided with a platform to create what's heavy on their heart and what's important to their walks of life. And as a choreographer of the first run of this program, I can say that it was a turning point in my career. It provided me with the opportunity to get to work with local dance artists and to finally have the resources and the opportunity to create what was heavy on my heart at the time. Um, and it gave me so much courage and confidence to continue to want to share my voice. And it's been really wonderful and beautiful to see this lineage continue and to see these opportunities be provided for more local dance artists to get to watch watch it continue to evolve and continue to press on really important social issues. So enjoy these mini episodes of my conversations with the Curate choreographers of 2025. I did not get a chance to meet Kally in person and get to have this conversation with them. So I emailed them my questions and they responded back through email. So I am going to read their answers. Hopefully that will justify the way that they felt about what questions were being presented to them. And here it is. Hi, Kally. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to you for getting through the 8 weeks and for going on this journey. You should be very proud of yourself. And I was hoping we could have this conversation in person. However, as I was having a conversation with the three choreographers I did get to talk to, conversation was so fruitful and ended up taking a little bit longer. I was hoping to get to introduce myself to you and to get to meet you. But this will do also. And as a past choreographer of this program, I have a lot of questions that came up for me for each of the choreographers. I have 4 general questions that I asked each of you. And then I went more in depth about your piece. I want you to answer these questions and elaborate on it as much as you'd like. Or if you feel that you just want to give a direct and assertive answer, that's okay too. Really answer however you see fit. So, my first question for you is if you had another week or two, what would you have shifted, changed, taken away, or added in your choreography? Or are you just happy with it the way that you were able to present it this last weekend? Kally said, if I'm totally honest, the end result was better than what I'd imagined in the beginning. I wouldn't change anything. Question 2, did you discover something new about your creative process? Is there something that you did completely differently or wanted to try a completely new way of experimenting with? And if so, is it something you wish you had more time exploring, or if you had a chance to explore it more in different parts of the piece? Kally said, I usually walk into a classroom with choreography fully prepared. Probably only a quarter of this dance was prepared ahead of the rehearsals. It was very different, but the end result was so much better than if I'd been rigid in my thinking. Question 3, do you feel that your piece justified your topic and the research that you did? Do you really feel like the message you were trying to focus on in your topic came through and translated through your piece? Kally responded, I have a very, quote, in your face, end quote, way of creating. So I don't think there is a question of what I'm trying to say. I do believe that justification is an opinion, but I personally feel like what I said, what I needed to say, was the best way that I could have done it in that moment. And number 4, what is one word to describe how you felt before these 8 weeks? So, probably the day you found out you were going to choreograph. And one word to describe how you feel after the 8 weeks now that the 3 shows have been set and done. And yeah, what is one word to describe what you've digested about yourself today compared to 8 weeks ago? Their word before the 8 weeks started was nervous/unsure, and the word after the completion of the 8 weeks were ready and fire. And these are going to be the questions that are going to be more in depth about your piece. Again, I hope it's okay that I'm sharing my perspective. This is just to generate conversation. It's an acknowledgement for what you did, and something that I've noticed through this process is that really these pieces are still a work in progress. I do believe 8 weeks is not enough to dive into such depth. So these questions are not a way to take away from what you presented. It's more around, okay, now that you have created this, where can it go? Yeah, just where can it go? Okay, so your choice of music is my first point, my first note. I really liked it. I thought choosing something with spoken word and this really powerful way of narrating was impactful. And I really think that it brought the masks to life. It had this theatrical feel to it where once the music started, the masks started having a personality, and they were interacting with each other. They had this very human element to it, this human attitude, and I really enjoyed that. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that intention and that choice, I would love to hear that. Kally said, you stating that the masks had a personality gives me so much life. I wanted to show the depths of what we feel in a very dramatic, almost sassy way. When we think of inner demons, we often think of lurking and slinking, but our voices that we fight aren't chill. The more I played around with each of the parts, the more dramatic they got, the more they gained their own voices, the braver they got. The more power they craved, the more they fought amongst themselves, eventually reaching their demise. So, in the end, they became this entity that was no longer part of who we were, but something we could separate ourselves from. And then in parentheses, Kally said, as I type, the storyline gets thicker than I intended. I'm stepping back and reflecting on things that were in my subconscious, but I never gave a physical form. So thank you for this. Let's see. Question 2. Did you let the song truly drive the story? Or, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is the way you composed the choreography and the movement, was it very married to what was said in the music? Or was it this chance that you were going through this narrative and this song kind of just fit perfectly? Kally responded with saying that they had this specific piece of music in their head from the very beginning, but the more I dove into it, the more the story formed. My choreography is very married to what was said. If I pulled a chunk out and put it somewhere else, it would not fit. The masks also gave me very, not even just the masks, but the way the dancers embodied movement when the masks were on were so puppet-like, and it just really reminded me of how we move through life in a very puppet way of hiding behind masks and how we think we have to show up in the world. The third question's response is, quote, the way we have to show up in the world, close quote. This is something that I said to her. And she said, yes, this dance is so much of it. Quit hiding. Quit letting fear tell you who you are supposed to be. Fuck everything that is keeping me from becoming my highest self, not a high performing human, but who am I truly supposed to be? For me, it is, quote, What was God's original intention for my life before human opinion told me how I was supposed to walk the earth? End quote. And yeah, so speaking on masks, I want you to elaborate more around what it signified every time the mask came off and what signified about it coming back on, maybe what drove those choices, like why, because you played with that a lot. They took it off and put it back on quite a bit throughout the piece. So I want to hear what that was like for you and why did you play with that on and off? Kally responded by saying, I didn't want to have one person the whole time battle the masked. I knew from the beginning I wanted each person to have their moment of fight, while they also had to embody that thing that eats at our soul. That is what we do. We play the games with the voices of light and dark constantly, the whiplash of what we fight in our brains. That is also why I stuck with the theme of black and white. It is another yin yang, as above, so below, white and black, light and dark. Although we didn't get to meet, but to get to be introduced to you through your art, it's always cool to get to see and to know that Oklahoma art is uh, really potent. So keep doing you. And thank you, Kally, for responding through email and still being willing to interact and engage in this conversation with me. Again, congratulations on a beautiful piece of work.